Chapter 50, Asmax and Xavier. Petrel looked up and said, "Shall I keep going?" "Yes!" shouted everyone. Without waiting to hear any more, Petrel read on. Chapter 50, Asmax and Xavier. Asmax and Xavier's matrix suddenly appeared from within the smoke and fire. "Hello," announced Xavier in his loud, deep voice. "We're sorry to disturb you, but we've just met Blizzard, a most amazing professor of astrophysics." "Yes," said Asmax. He's from the islands of time. Marvellous fellow. Do you know him?" "We have heard about him," said Nell. "He's been training Escher," said Xavier, "and it's going very well. We are so relieved." "Travelling through time can be most challenging to start with," said Asmax. Jax ran to her parents and hugged both of them. "So much to tell you," she said. Asmax beamed at her daughter. "We've heard some," she said. My dear brave girl. Well done." Jax smiled and then nestled in beside her parents as they sat on a couch together. Asmax studied Nell. It sounds as if things have been most difficult here," she said. "After we left you on the island of Dragol, we spent a lot of time sending you all the best energy and magic that we could, and we asked every ice witch we know to do the same. Many in the land of ice and fire send their love." Nell smiled at Asmax and Xavier. "So good to see you, and thank you for the energy. We really needed it. We're having a very hard talk right now." "Understood," said Xavier. "Sorry to disturb. Please go on." "Oh, yes," said Asmax. "Don't stop for us." "Not at all," said Nell. "It's so good to have you here. It's just that this discussion is very painful and difficult." Or it's just that this discussion is very painful. Asmax nodded. "We're from the Island of Flames," said Storm, staring at the three ice witches on the couch. We had to leave our island because things became very dangerous for us. But when we reached the land of ice and fire, I'm sad to say that we were turned away, and we had to travel even further to Tregolan to find safety." Xavier hung his head and cleared his throat. "I am so sorry that the leaders in my land turned you away," he said. "We all feel terrible about it." Asmax nodded. "It brought great shame to our land," she said. Pallas looked down and then continued. "Our journey to Tregolan was very dangerous. Squid was tiny and she nearly drowned. There was a terrible storm. We were on a raft and I thought I'd lost her." Squid ran over to her mother and sat in between her legs on the floor. "So when we arrived at Tregolan," said Pallas, "and the thieves said we had to go to prison and our children had to be taken away, it broke our hearts." Pallas stared at everyone, her eyes overflowing with tears. Storm, too, was crying.